Hey guys, so we just saw Rings, and this is an actual line from the movie. Get ready. All right, compose yourselves. So is that chicken or steak?
You're funny.
Rings is directed by Javier Gutierrez and is a sequel to Ring 1 and Ring 2, and they progress in the story set in modern day, and instead of watching a VHS, these people have to make copies of that video that you watch that you die 7 days later, and then they to prevent them from dying, they have to have other people watch their copies, and so it's like this modern set take on the Ring movies. And I want to say right away that the Ring 1 is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen in my life, okay? I saw that movie when I was way too young. Thanks, Dad.
Me too.
And it scarred the living hell out of me. Rings 2 was one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen. And I'm going to say right now, we haven't told each other's reaction to the movie, but Rings is one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
Despite it being terrible for him, I still think I fell for every single jump scare.
I mean, look.
All 20 of them.
To me, it just didn't work on any aspect. And we're getting to why, but I just want to say that they kind of took, like, with this modern day aspect of make copies and stuff, and you kind of push it on to the next person. It kind of felt like It Follows in a way. If you've ever seen It Follows, it's a fantastic horror movie. Came out in 2015, I believe, 2014, 2015. They kind of took that type of road to it. Did not do it nearly as well. There wasn't enough scares. There's a lot of just stupid jump scares. But look, let's just get into normal review positives. My biggest positive is that they tried to broaden the scope of, like, the lore from The Ring. You know, they did expand on the lore. Maybe it didn't work all the time, but the stuff they did with, like, the new technology, I thought was smart at times. I liked what they do. What was your opinion on that?
I thought it was really interesting, especially with the whole concepts. Like Sean was talking about, like, making copies and kind of pass that on to another person. They called it trailing. So basically, if you make a copy of the video, then your trail essentially is the next person in line to die in 7 days.
Yeah,
and the main characters are, like, falling victim to this trail. Like, all of a sudden something happens and they need to act quickly as a result of, like, this whole concept and the science experiments. And it's really interesting to see how they follow that and how it progresses with, like, the video and how, like, the main character has visions. And it was actually really interesting to see how that works.
So you liked the story?
I liked the expansion of the lore.
Yeah, I thought the expansion lore was fine, but other than that, and there's one scene where I did like the visual. There's a couple cool visuals in this movie, like some of the camera work. There's one visual that I actually, like, loved. It's after right away, the first guy, actually the guy from Big Bang Theory, he's in there. He does a fine job, he's whatever, but he's a smoker and he has a cigarette and, like, a fly goes out. I thought that was, like, a cool visual. But we just didn't get enough of that type of stuff. Yeah. Now, what are your positives to the movie? Because I've said my positives. What are your other positives?
I think my positive, like, I'm not a good person to go to a scary movie with, because Sean can attest to the fact that I jumped every 3 minutes.
All the time.
Even, like, an umbrella opening. Every single time. It's absolutely awful. But, like, I was engaged in the movie, despite it not being one of my favorite horror movies. I just saw Sinister, like, 5 days ago, and that was so much better.
Sinister is great.
But, like, this movie, I was still engaged the whole time, which is something that I did not expect to have walking in. Like, I was engaged in the movie. So it scared you, though? It scared me.
Because that's what a horror movie needs to do. And at no point in this movie was I ever scared. There's a couple scenes where I'm like, oh, that's creepy. But I was like, I'm not scared.
I thought he was falling asleep because he was bored of the lack of scariness.
It was bad. Now, if we're gonna go into negatives now. Get ready.
There's a few of them.
Look. I hated the performances. I thought the performances were terrible. The lead girl, awful. Her boyfriend, awful. Even the guy from The Big Bang Theory, he does okay, but he's nothing special. Vincent D'Onofrio, fantastic actors in this movie. Not gonna tell you what role he plays, because he plays a pretty significant role. Yeah. Why would he be in this movie? I don't understand. But no, the performances were so terrible. I don't know what you thought, John, but I hated them.
The scene that we reenacted at the beginning of this movie, that's an example of the bad dialogue that was just kind of throughout the entire movie. There were so many examples between main characters, between not so main characters, that, like, you just had to question, why is this there? Like, Is it chicken or steak? Like, seriously, what is the point of that? Yeah. Like, and that's like a scene that doesn't even need to be in the movie and doesn't advance the plot whatsoever, and it just like really just takes up time. No, there were a lot of sines that I felt were just there to take up a little extra time to make you wait for what's going to actually happen next in the story.
It was a boring movie, and the dialogue was so I did not believe the dialogue at all. I did not care. Also, so many stupid cliche horror movie stuff, like the main characters making the dumbest decision possible that they could. It's like, okay, I just have to say this. I'm not even gonna put spoiler because I don't think you guys give a shit. But listen to this. So after she's already been like, she saw someone die from this video. She knows that this video is real. Like, she's not like debating it. And then, so she knows that she cannot watch it, right? So then when her boyfriend's sleeping in the morning, she's like, oh, I'm gonna open his computer. Oh, there's something that says Ring video, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna watch it. Why? Like, what are you... God,
she watched it because she knew in the dialogue... Okay, I will defend this very briefly. Like, she knew that he was going to die at 7:10 in the morning because he watched the video 12 hours after this girl who died did.
Yeah.
And she knew it was 2:34 in the morning. I know the exact time because I thought, why not? It'd come up later. Didn't come up later. But basically, she watched it because she knew he would die at 7:10 in the morning. And that's... Other than that, like, I think she understood that she would die, but she also understood that her boyfriend would die if she didn't watch it. And there was also a trail being lined up for him that she would then get a trail for, which is where the plot develops and gets onto the rest of the story.
I would buy that if she didn't, after she watched it, oh, what was that? Oh my God, no. Like, she was all regretting it and scared. She would, after she watched it, she's like, oh shit, like, she didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, we got a lot of bleepers in here.
And it just irritated the living hell out of me. I mean, there's a lot of scenes in this movie like that.
Well, I think that's just a testament to like the poor acting in this film. Like everyone knows what this film is at this point because these are people that have signed up for a scientific research study on like the concept of the human soul and like what that means. Like the main scientist person knew that this VHS was killing people, turned it into like a document on a computer, and has been telling people that have been signing up for the study, you won't die because there are the people willing to do this for you.
That was actually kind of cool that I kind of dug that aspect of the story.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, even though it's like, oh, I know I have 7 days to live after I get the phone call. Like, if you haven't seen The Ring 1 or 2, it's very similar in concept. Like, this girl... whose name I believe is released for the first time in this film. I haven't watched The Ring 1 or 2 in a very long time.
I think they get it in the other films.
Okay, but like she crawls through the TV, does her whole killing thing.
Terrible effects too. In that scene,
absolutely awful.
The effects are so and just not even just the face, but like when she's crawling on the TV. I know it's supposed to look like she's part of the TV, like she kind of flickers and stuff. Like I get that, but the effects when she's crawling on the TV just looks god awful. Like honestly,
it was so much better in the Ring 1, and I'd say even in the Ring 2 because it was like the static graininess of her character. I think worked better with like older technology and older film editing.
100% it did.
But I think just in the modern day, if this is going to be a document that is now like digital, I think that she should have been rendered more. If that makes sense, like she should have advanced in like her rendering out of the TV along with technology.
Yep, and this movie was There's also, you're supposed to, a good horror movie will have you care about the characters and have not just stupid jump scares, will have good scares. In this movie had none of that. I didn't care about the characters. The performances were the worst. This is the worst movie I've seen all year. This would have been in my worst movies. If this would have come out in 2016, it probably would have been my, right behind Meet the Blacks.
This is worse than Monster Trucks. I'm saying that as having viewed Monster Trucks. Yeah, I empathize with Monster Trucks characters a lot more than I did in this movie.
Look, I mean, I think we've said our dues. John, give it a rating, man.
I'm going to give it a 6.1.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Look,
not fresh at all.
No,
kind of bad.
I think it's an absolutely terrible movie. It's cheap, as in that the Ring 1 was so good. The Ring 2 was awful, and this one's just as bad as The Ring 2. I'm going to give it a 3.7 out of 10. I think it's terrible.
That's so bad.
There is no redeeming qualities for this movie for me. There's
not even just like the one glass breaking scene?
Right away, the story, I was like, oh, this is interesting, and then just ruined it with all the bad performances.
I will say, after we got past Act 1, it was like a very steep plummet off the side of the cliff. Like, yeah, and Act 1 said it. There was so much potential in like Act 1 of this movie, and then it all went to hell.
And you say it went out the side of the cliff. That's where I wanted to go.
What do you offer?
Alright guys, thanks so much for watching our review of Rings. So glad that you guys hopefully will not see it after watching this review, because please don't. Save yourself, save the money. We saw it for $5 on student night with the free popcorn. Still not worth it. Guys, thanks so much again. As always, make sure to leave this video with a like and a comment below. Let us know what you thought of Rings. What do you think of The Ring 1? Where does that rank among your best horror movies of all time? It's up there for me in my top 10. It's terrifying. Thanks so much for watching as always, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.